MrBeast may have just earned millions of views that he would have otherwise never had, and the most interesting part about this is he didn't even need to post a new video to do it.
Yeah, and the method he used for these massive spikes in viewership was simple and effective. And in theory, any channel could apply this strategy.
So we have to give a quick Twitter shout out here to the YouTube bully who pulled up these 4 videos from MrBeast that have recently all undergone some thumbnail updates. This being one of them from October 12th of 2019. Rob, look at the graph here on our views per hour chart.
Yeah, it looks pretty stable for at least a year at this point, getting maybe just over 1,000 views per hour. And then whoosh, all of a sudden he multiplies the views on this video by a factor of 10. How do you do that with existing content that's now over 2 years old?
It starts off pretty strong. However, like most videos on YouTube, it eventually tapers off and kind of rides off into the sunset. And now most creators understand this trend, right? This is just kind of the natural lifespan of a YouTube video, and we all just kind of accept it.
Yeah. I like to call this viewer intent. You know, MrBeast has an entertainment-focused channel, and viewers like to see something new and fresh on a regular basis. It's not necessarily a solution-based channel giving answers to questions that need to be answered on YouTube, so they aren't evergreen. It's inevitable that every video has some sort of major drop-off after a couple of weeks, maybe a month or 2 at most, even for MrBeast.
The thing about MrBeast videos, though, is that despite them not being super searchable, they're still evergreen. So a video about searching dumpsters, for example, is just as relevant today as it was the day it was first released.
And not to mention, when these videos first came out, even for MrBeast, he had a considerably smaller audience than he does now. The dodgeball video, for example, at the time of release, he had only, and I emphasize the word only, 20 million subscribers. And in terms of channel views, 2.5 billion. But all of that is dwarfed in comparison to the 90+ million subscribers he has and billions more views, 6 times as many, which is incredible.
And so all of this old content that Jimmy, MrBeast, has at his disposal leaves him in this very unique position, because if he just brings the thumbnails of these older videos up to his more modern standards, he can reach a whole lot of new viewers. Because think about it, if you discover MrBeast here and you hit subscribe and watch all of his new uploads, do you click on the thumbnails for older videos that look like this?
I mean, maybe, Dan, but you do have to admit this thumbnail really doesn't look anything like the type of thumbnails that you see on Jimmy's channel today. A newer fan of MrBeast is much more likely to click on a video if it has that familiar look and feel that they're already used to.
Right. So are we saying right now, Rob, that this is a thing that every creator watching this needs to go back through their entire old back catalog of videos and go through and update every single thumbnail?
Well, no. I mean, MrBeast does have an army of people who can help him rebuild thumbnails anytime he likes. And let's be honest, some videos, including our own, just need to go away forever. They're simply not good enough to be on YouTube. But we do have some practical tips that shouldn't be too time consuming and could give your older videos a chance to reach newer audiences.
So if this is something you're interested in trying, here's what we suggest you do. The first step would be to go through your old catalog of videos and pull out your top performing ones, perhaps of all time, if relevant. And then what I want you to do is run down the following checklist for each video. This video is just as relevant today as it was the first day it was released.
This video was getting views at one point, but today it's not really doing much at all.
This video meets all of my standards for quality today in terms of production and video length.
And finally, I have an idea for how I could update this video's title and or the thumbnail.
Now, if you're able to put a tick mark next to each one of those 4 points, we are giving you permission to go through your old content and then update the thumbnails on those videos.
However, if even one of those checkboxes is difficult to tick, then we have a slightly different recommendation.
Because it would be more effective for you to remake the video instead of going through this process.
If it's not relevant anymore, then obviously changes need to be made to the video itself. It's too late to revive this particular content.
If it's getting a healthy number of views, it's probably best not to touch it.
And let's be honest, sometimes the production value of a video just isn't up to scratch, be it poor lighting or even worse, terrible audio.
And most importantly, if you don't have a good idea for what the new thumbnail of this video, for example, could look like, it's probably not worth the stress.
This strategy of updating your titles and thumbnails could work for any kind of channel, but it really does depend on the type of content. And we do have an additional tool here that could help you with that. It's called the thumbnail preview tool. What it allows you to do is have a look at the title and thumbnail of your content and compare it to what's already on YouTube, be it on a search page, on the home page, and even more so, before you even publish a video, you can also use this tool.
So in the case of this video we're looking at, which is 6 huge mistakes to avoid on YouTube, the more recent content in this space, I would say, is giving us some really interesting inspiration. One thing you can notice here is human emotion is a big element that we did not include in our thumbnail originally. So in sharing all of this with you today, Rob and I aren't sitting here trying to get you to stress over the older content on your channel. However, it might be worth doing for certain videos.
Yeah, we've just been looking at titles and thumbnails, but there are many other things that you can do to videos that are already published on your channel to try and revive them, monitor them, resurrect them. And you know what? We've got a video over here. Check it out.